Welcome everybody to the Deal Divers podcast, where we uncover actual closed deals to find those gems, that knowledge and tools that can help you close your next wholesale real estate deal. I'm your host, Ty the Investor. You can catch me on Instagram if you're not following me there already. I post a lot of game, a lot of tips and things like that to help you in your business. But in this episode, I have a special guest, special guest, man. But make sure you subscribe to the channel, like the video, comment below. Anything that you need to do there to help the channel grow. But my special guest, man, he is a member of my Wholesale Unity Discord community. I don't know how long he's been a member. It hasn't been that long, I'll tell you that much, but he just closed his first wholesale deal, man. He's been busting his butt, kicking his ass, trying to get this deal done, and he finally did it. And this is a very special episode for me because that first wholesale deal, it ignites a certain fire to keep you going, right? It provides you proof of concept, all these different things. But enough of that. I'm gonna bring my guy in, man. Phil, what's going on, man?
What's going on, man? What's up, Ty? How you feeling?
I'm good. Not how I'm feeling. How you feeling?
I'm feeling great. I feel great. I can't lie.
Big money?
Chill, please. Not yet.
Not yet. Nah, but tell me a little bit how that feels, man. That first wholesale deal. How you feel when you got that check, that wire, that confirmation that it was done?
I felt amazing. Like I don't know, like it just felt like, dang, after 10 months I finally did it. Like I was like, I finally did it. I just got my first deal. So I was happy. Oh, I sent it to everyone. I sent it in the Discord group chat. I sent it to my father. I sent it in the group chat with all my friends. Like, oh yeah. I was just happy that I got my first deal.
And you said after 10 months.
It's been 10 months. I quit my job in January. So, yeah.
So let me ask you this, man. So you're doing this full time?
Yeah.
Right now. Okay. And it took you 10 months to close this deal.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what kept you going after the first month you didn't get a deal? The second month you didn't get a deal. The third month you didn't get a deal. 4, 5, 6, 7 months you didn't get. 8 months you didn't get a deal. 9 months. What kept you going to continue on? Because most people, they probably quit after a month or two.
Yeah, no, I don't. I've just seen so many stories, and this isn't gonna be my first go around the wholesaling, so I just understand like usually like certain things just they take time, like if that makes sense. Like, and then it's like I knew going into it, like when I quit my job and everything like that, this is what I wanted to do full time. This is what like I want to do in my life. So like I understood like the only way I would fail for sure is if I stop, like if that makes sense. So I was just like, however long it takes, I have savings. I've sold cars before, so like I guess I'm good with talking to people and things like that. So it's like it's no reason why, and I don't give up and I work hard. It's just no reason why I shouldn't be successful. So I was just like, we're going to keep going there. And then I've heard stories of people a year, 9 months, 11 months. So I was just like, to each is their own. Like when my time come, my time gonna come in, and it finally came. So yeah,
That I love it. That was the same mindset I had too, to be completely honest. It was like my mentality with this whole thing is like, if you don't quit, it's guaranteed to work. You know what I mean? You just have to be consistent, keep going, and have the faith, right? And like when you see other people closing deals, it inspires you to be like, okay, if they can do it, I can do it. It's just not my time yet, right? So I have to just keep going.
Like I'm not like they're no different from me. Like I can do it works. So I just need to keep going. Yeah.
Okay, cool. I love it. Now tell us a little bit about, what market you in, a little background. You say you sold cars, things like that. So tell us a little bit about that, like the beginning before wholesaling.
Okay. So I mean, I'm 22. I graduated high school 4 years ago. I originally heard about wholesaling in high school. I had a friend of mine, our 12th grade or 11th grade year. He was making $10,000, like as far as a wholesale fee and everything like that. And then like being in high school, $10,000, like that's the equivalent of $1,000,000. Like that's just unheard of, like at 17
Right.
years old. So I wanted to know all about it and everything like that. I read into it and stuff like that. I bought this course from like Jalen White. I did that for a little while. Then I fell off from it. Then as far as everything goes, I was working my job, but I knew I wanted to be in real estate full time. I just knew I wanted to do that. So I saved up as much money as I could. I worked in sold cars for a year and a half, saved every dollar I could. Like as much as possible. Then I told myself, come January, I just went in my manager's office. I said, it's time for me to go. And then I just got here and everything like that. So beforehand, it was all types of stuff. I was watching YouTube videos. I would see your videos. A friend of mine actually sent me a post of yours,
Mm-hmm.
and then that's how I ended up contacting you and everything like that. Like I was just watching, reading up on everything. I think I had bought my LLC before I even started, and then I joined Ryan Pineda's
Mm-hmm.
and everything on I think what's it called? Teachable. One of those things. Yeah.
Yeah. I got you. Now,
Yeah.
so you've been wholesaling for just this 10-month span, or were you wholesaling like before that, before you quit the job?
Yeah, I was. I was trying to, but I couldn't. I didn't find any success. Yeah.
How long
So
were
I
you?
was
How long
at
was that period?
that was a year.
A year. So a year, and
Hmm.
then 10 months this year when you actually started back again full time is when you closed the deal.
Yeah. Uh-huh. I don't know what happened and what made me decide to go back into it again, but I was like, I want to go back into it again. So I just
That
did. And
Dude, that sounds so familiar to my story because I actually got
really,
started in like 20, I think it was like 2019 is when I like
okay.
first heard about it and was like, okay, I'm gonna try it out. I was listening to, I saw Max Maxwell on YouTube. I was looking at his videos, and then I joined like his Facebook group, and he had like a 30-day challenge, right, for that January of 2019.
Yeah,
So
literally the first thing. Yeah.
I went through that challenge for like 25 days out the month, and then I don't know what happened. Something happened and I just stopped. Like I was just doing all
Hmm.
types of stuff, and I just stopped. I guess my business at my other job kind of kicked back up a little bit at my 9 to 5 at the
Hmm.
time. And then I just said, forget it. Then COVID comes around, and then that's when I jumped right back in 2020.
Okay.
So it's kind of similar. I
And, okay.
started, then I stopped for a bit, and then I got back into it. So it's similar to yours.
And then you found a success and everything.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, what was it about wholesaling that kind of attracted you to doing wholesaling versus anything else?
As far as I knew, like, as far as going into, because I knew I wanted to be in real estate. My original plan is that I was gonna go to college, get a job, use that money to invest, buy a bunch of rentals, and then have those rentals pay me. When I came across wholesaling, I just liked the method because I felt like it fit me more, especially now that I have sold cars and everything like that. Like it's like the barrier to entry is so low, like as far as costs and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like the reward is high. Like worst case scenario, like on real estate deals, maybe like you lose your earnest money deposit versus like if you do a flip or you buy and hold, you could be like in the hole or negative, and then you got to sell it at a discount. Like
Low
it seemed
risk.
a lot more simpler. Yeah. And then the scalability. Like
Yeah.
I've seen crazy stories. I've seen people get their first deal and then scale to $1 million within 9 months, or like go from one deal a month to now doing four consistent. Like so, I was like, that's something I was very interested in. And
Gotcha.
yeah,
It makes sense. Similar to me. Now, now when it comes to like you said you're doing it full time, like what's your day to day like while doing it full time? Like what's the day to day like as far as what you do as far as trying to get deals done?
okay. So on a day-to-day basis, um, you told me to start using launch control. So first thing I do in the morning is I send out 600 text messages because that's what my platform allows me to do. After that, I'm waiting for responses on that. Then I have like the reminders tab in launch control. I have my Podio, and then I have my batch dialer. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm literally just for the first hour and a half, 2 hours, I'm just following up with everyone I was supposed to from the day before. Or like
Mm-hmm.
if someone told me, come call me back tomorrow, do this, that's all I'm doing. Or I'm following up with people, whether they respond or not, and then I'm doing that amongst those tabs. And then pretty much for the rest of the day after that, I'm just pretty much just cold calling. I try to stay on the phone for 6 to 7 hours a day, sometimes even longer. So, but my main focus doing all of this now is just to try and have 50 conversations and make one offer a day.
There you
So
go.
that's usually
Just trying to
yeah.
find a way to stay consistent.
Yeah, that's all. And
Gotcha.
then I noticed with me giving myself a number versus just sitting on the phone for hours, it's like now I'm chasing a number of conversations to have for the day. So it makes the time fly by a little bit more. So
Right.
yeah, that's
Gotcha. All right. So enough of that. That's good stuff. That's all sweet, but that's not why we're here, right? We're here to talk about That first deal you got. Now, how much was that first deal? What was the profit? What was that wire to your account? What was that check that you got in your hand? How much was that?
That was $6,000.
$6,000. That's not bad, man. That is not
At
bad
all. At all.
My first one was 3,000 that got to my pocket.
Yeah, I know. I remember. I seen
Yeah.
it. Yeah, that's very
Wow,
cool.
$6,000. All right, so let's get into it, man. Let's talk about it. So we're gonna go into the deal breakdown, right? So,
Okay.
now how did you go about finding this seller?
Zillow for sale by owner.
Mm-hmm.
So, I saw this YouTube video. I watched it. It's certain filters you're supposed to select, and everything like that. And I started targeting people that their home values were under 300,000 in my area. They were only selling by themselves, and then I try to stay away from multifamilies because I didn't understand how to comp those, but just stick to mostly houses and townhouses. Um, Called the guy up, he didn't answer. Called him up again, didn't answer. Called him up again a third time, he finally answered, and then boom, we got on the phone and we started going from there and started to negotiate the deal.
Gotcha.
So yeah,
So
did you want me to?
yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, this is where I tell the whole story.
Go for
it. Oh, okay, no, I'm just confused. Okay, so we got on the phone. He said he had an offer already for 80,000. I just said F it. Like I didn't even go to look at numbers and everything like that. I was just like, I had a idea of where the ARV was at, but I just said F it. I'll just say 83,000 for good faith. He said that's okay, cool. Just send me over your offer with a purchase and sales agreement and then proof of funds. I was like, okay. So I sent it to him. He didn't sign right away. It took him about 3 days. He wanted to review my proof of funds. He wanted a picture of my driver's license to make sure it was me. So I sent it to him, and then he finally signed the contract. Boom.
Okay. So hold on, let me stop you right there because I want to dig deeper into this. Okay. Now, so it's a for sale by owner, and the way you contact them, you called them, right? You found him on Zillow, you called him once, no answer, called him twice, no answer, called him 3 times, then he probably answers, right?
Yeah.
Now, as on for sale by owner, what was it listed at? What was he had? What did he have for sale for?
He had it at 99,000.
99,000. Okay, 99,000. How long was it on the market for sale by owner? Do you remember that?
It was bad. I think he had it on there for at least 100 days, like 105 days, something like that. Yeah, like it was definitely in the triple digits numbers. Like, and that was one of the first things I asked him when he got on the phone. Like, why is it on the market for so long?
Okay, gotcha. And I think that's very important, right? Because for sale by owner, if it hasn't sold and it's been sitting on the market, then something is up. And I mean, shoot, that's an opportunity right there. You took advantage of that opportunity. Now, how did you come up with making that offer initially of that 83,000?
Me personally, I had my ARV actually higher than where you had told me to come down to. So I had my ARV around I think 170,000 after, like, I did the formula times 0.7, minus repairs, minus my wholesale fee. I was already going to be around 80,000. So when he had said he had an offer for that, I was like, oh, okay, fine. I'll just beat that offer.
Right.
So I came and I said, I'll do it 83,000, basically to beat the other guy. But are you willing to sign with me today? He said yes. And then I just sent him over.
Ooh, I love it. You were aggressive. You went for the kill. You went for the kill. And that's how you beat people out. You got an offer. Okay. And you put them, you backed them in the corner, right? You said, listen, if I offer you a little bit more, 83,000, I know you already have an offer for 80,000, but if I offer you 83,000 today, would you be willing to sign the paperwork today? Backed him in the corner. He said yes. And you were able to get that contract.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Love it. Now, you mentioned something about he wanted to see proof of funds. I know a lot of people starting out, because I had the same question as well. It's like, where do I find proof of funds? How do I do proof of funds? I don't know what proof. How did you come up with the proof of funds to show him for that credibility that he was looking for?
It was a website I used called Coco Capital. So you're able to go on there, enter in the property address, the sales price, and basically like everything you need to get that proof of funds letter. They sent it to my email, and then I forwarded it straight to him.
And it was free.
So it was free.
And what's the name of that website?
I think it's kogocapital.com. Or if you Google search Kogo Capital, it should be. So it's KOGO Capital, and then they should be able to find everything right there.
That's a new one. I never heard of that one. That's a good resource right there. Love it. Love it. Love it. Okay. Sounds good. So now you got it under contract, 83,000. He signs it. What are you doing next?
First thing I did is I remember I came straight in the Discord and I said I had something on the contract. I was like, Ty, can you look at my deal? Um, so I sent it to you and everything like that, and then you were like, "Rule me." You told me I needed to be at 60,000.
Yeah, around there. Yep.
I was like, okay, so 83, 60. Obviously, if I have it on the contract at 83, I'm still gonna try and sell it for more. So you had told me that, but I was like, all right, I still got to try because I didn't want to just go back to him right away and start asking for a discount, especially when he just said he had someone that was willing to offer 80.
Right.
So I tried to push it out, push it out, push it out. I don't know what it was. Everyone came back at the exact same number as you. No, it's not like they said 59 or 58, 60, 60, 60. I said, Jesus Christ, like, oh my God. So I needed to get on the contract at 60. I remember I paired up with a guy. I tried to ask him to find buyers. Even his people are saying 64. So I think after like a week of trying, I finally just said, F it. I need to go back and I need to call this dude and just tell him what it is. We ended up finding someone that actually said they're willing to buy it at 65. They don't need to walk through it at all. They don't need any type. The only thing is they just want an inspection foundation, and he was ready to go. Like he said, at 65, all you need to do is send me over that contract if you get the other guy. I was like, okay, cool. So got back on the phone with the seller. I told him I needed to be at 55,000. We closed within 10 days or less. He said he'll give me a call back and everything like that and let me know. The next morning he texted me and said at 60K we have a deal. I said that's where I wanted to be anyway.
Nice. Now let me
Yeah.
ask you this. Okay. Now, how was that conversation? Because a lot of people, you're at 83,000, right? Now you're asking him
Mm-hmm.
to come down 20, almost $30,000 in price. How was
Mm-hmm.
that conversation? I know it was probably tough for you to make that call and tell him, but how did you go about doing that?
So one thing I definitely did is before I went to go to him, what I did is I gathered up everything all the buyers were telling me. Like because it's like I didn't want to just get on the phone and be like, "Hey, you remember how I told you 83,000? I wanted for 20,000 less." Like I wanted to have a justified reason. So everything they told me verbatim is literally what I told them. So they said they found issues with the cracks in the foundation. They felt as though the kitchen was going to need a lot of work. And then they were sending me comps to show like, the ARV isn't as high as they expected. So I repeated all of this verbatim to him. And that's when it's like he understood from what I was saying and said he was willing to do 65 with the tenant still in place and then 68 if he had to remove the tenant himself. So he came down, but then the next morning he texted me and said he'd be at 60.
Love it. So you utilize all of the information, you gather justifiable evidence and
Yeah.
reason on why you needed to be at a lower price versus just saying, hey, we need to be at this price. And by
Oh
doing
yeah.
that, it let him realize that, okay, this guy, Phil, he did his research. Yeah, you know what? Maybe I am a little bit asking too much for the property based off of what this information he told me. I can't do nothing but trust him because he seems like he's a legitimate guy and it was credible. So that allowed
Mhm,
him
yeah.
to be reasonable and come down on that price. Love it.
Yeah. And then
Love
I kept telling him like I just asked for like so I didn't tell him it was like one person. I kept saying like this was common among several people because I remember when we were setting up the times for people to go in there, like I think I had 3 people viewing and I told him like what all 3 people had said. So it just made me seem like more credible. Like it's not even my mouth, it's everyone else is telling, so it's like the vast majority. Yeah.
Now, did you tell him that you were wholesaling it or you were getting another buyer or what was that conversation?
No, I did tell him that I was going to be the one buying. That's the reason why he asked me for proof of funds as far as everything goes. Yeah. But then I told him my partner is going to be the one financing the deal, so he's usually more so in charge of numbers and everything like that. So we do need to be like at a certain number in order for this deal to work.
And how many people did you get going through the property? How many people went to go check it out?
Me, I think I had 3 or 4 people. It was really difficult to get people to go through there because there was a tenant in place, and he would sometimes the seller didn't live there. It was a tenant in place. The guy sometimes wasn't answering his phone and things like that. And then the seller was very cautious on how many times I could show the property because last thing he wanted was for me to default and then I spooked the guy into moving. Now it's like he's out of a deal and he's out of his rental income. So that was I could only get 3 people to come through there.
Right, right. Okay. Now, What was his motivation? Why did he want to sell the property?
So he actually is in another type of business. I'm not exactly too sure what it is. I think it has something to do with sports, but essentially he wanted to liquidate the house so he could use it in his other investment journey. So he was trying to exit the real estate game, and he had been trying to for a while, but it's like this property just wouldn't sell for some reason.
Gotcha. So he was like a landlord, or he had other properties, had multiple properties, and this one was just one that he didn't want to deal with.
Yeah. In fact, he had already like beforehand, I think he had like two or three other properties that already sold him. This was that last one he just needed to get rid of. I think he has one more that he said now he wants me to do business on, but yeah, this was one of the last ones he just wanted to get rid of. But,
Okay.
yeah.
Now, how did you go about finding a buyer? Because I know you say you had a partner that you was working with on it. Now, how did you come up? How did you find an actual buyer that was going to commit to this deal?
So partner ended up finding a buyer. This is where I had texted you that day and I almost felt like quitting.
I
So
remember.
I'm thinking he agrees to 60K. We already have a guy at 65. He's like stalling throughout the day. I send him over the moment he said 60, I think I rolled over in bed. He sent it around 8:30, 8:35. I sent the contract. Like I got up, I hopped up on my bed, went downstairs, DocuSign, sent him over contract so he could sign it. He's dragging his feet all day. He's dragging his feet all day. He's dragging his feet all day. Meanwhile, the other guy at 65 is ready to go. He doesn't need to go in there. He doesn't need to do anything. So in my mind, I'm just like, oh, moment he signs this is my first deal. I'm gonna have to split it with someone, but my first deal, nonetheless, I'm still happy. I'm still overjoyed. Text me at the end of the day and says, "Yeah, remember how I told you we could be at 60? I looked at everything. I need to be at 78." I was so hurt, like,
Oh,
because that was the closest I've ever been. Everything else is like I'll get stuff on the contract. The numbers weren't good, but this was the first time I ever had like a buyer and then what I thought was a seller ready to go, and the numbers made sense.
mhm.
So that bothered me. I texted you. You told me just follow up with him in a month. I think I called a personal friend of mine. He was like, "You're in too deep. You've been out your job for 10 months. Like, you got to succeed. Like, Phil, no one's going to feel sorry for you if you quit. Like, you have to succeed." I was like, okay. So, took a day off. I got back to it. I called him on that Monday, the following Monday, like you told me to do, like a week later. Usually I follow up every 2 weeks because I followed up the next week.
Yeah, he was
Follow up.
hot lead. He was hot.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. He answers the phone. He was like, oh, because at first he was telling me, like, he's going to see if he could do some type of work to it and everything like that to get a higher price. He
yeah,
answered the
right.
phone and said, yeah, I honestly don't feel like doing that work. He was like, what was that price you were talking about again? I said, we're willing to do this we were willing to go at 60,000. You keep the tenant in there 10 days or less. He said, yeah, I'll go ahead and do it. I said, oh my God. So I sent him over the contract again immediately. He signs it. I'm over here thinking the other guy wants to go. The guy backs out.
The buyer.
Yeah.
Wow.
So the seller had backed out. Now the buyer's backing out. Keep in mind, we're keeping the same closing date. I have to submit earnest money to deposit. And then I think my inspection period was running close because he wanted to recontract again at the same closing date, except now it's like 2 weeks later. So it's like realistically, I only have like a couple of days to find a buyer. So I dropped everything I was doing. I stopped cold calling. I stopped doing everything. And I went in Facebook group chats. And because the deal was in Princess Anne, Maryland, I looked up Princess Anne, Maryland, and I DM'd every single person that had ever said they were interested in the deal. Princess Anne,
Nice.
Maryland. Yeah. So I found one dude. I sent it to like at least 7, 8 people. Found one dude finally. I told him I'm asking 75 for it. I said, could you do, he wanted it for 50. I said, could you do 66? I told him my situation and everything like that. Like I'm a new wholesaler. If the deal doesn't work, please let me know. He said, give me 1 second. I'll give you a call back. He said he'll do it at 66. And then I was like, oh shit. Okay. So I sent him the assignment agreement and then everything happened from there.
The rest
Yeah.
was history.
Yeah.
Man, that's amazing. That's crazy. So you get the property under contract, you have to renegotiate, you renegotiate the price. Then the seller is like, nah, I don't want to do it. I want to keep the property now. And then you like, okay, all right, I kind of want to stop this. And then you're like, all right, let me call him back again. He says, okay, yes, I'll do it. And then in that process, during that time frame, the original buyer's like, I'm not interested anymore. So now you're like, damn, I need to find me another buyer. And then you're like, okay, I'm dropping everything that I'm doing. Now it's time to go find a buyer. Because I remember when you hit me up, you was like, trying to find out about the buyer. I said, bro, you just got to do anything by any means necessary. Find you a buyer.
Yeah.
How long did it
I
take?
was hitting
How long did
everybody up.
how long did it take to find that the actual buyer, the second buyer, that after you went through the Facebook groups and reached out to everybody?
It's so funny. Only took me about 20, like maybe a day and a half, like 24 hours. 24 hours I found him because I DM'd so many people. It was like he finally responded. He looked at it and he said, "Yeah, like we could go at this." And yeah, that was that.
Wow. And now, so from the time that you got this property under contract initially until the time that it actually closed and sold and you got that check, how long was that period?
I would definitely say it had to be, if I could check, I would say anywhere between 30 or 45 days. Definitely.
Okay.
Definitely. Yeah.
So less than 45 days.
Yeah. Pretty much. It shouldn't go past, honestly, it shouldn't go past 40 days, but yeah.
But you
Yeah.
had to deal with a lot of things, right? You had to deal with this, had to deal with that.
Ooh, it was a range of emotions. Oh my goodness. Like, oh my gosh. It was
But
a
here's the
lot.
thing, you stuck through it, right? Like you made it
Mm-hmm.
work. You knew in the deepest of your soul and your spirit, you knew that this was a deal, but you just
Yeah.
had to find the right person, the right buyer. You dealt with adversity on both
Mm-hmm.
ends with the seller, with the buyer, but you stuck it through. You didn't give up. You kept going and wanted to see it through by any means necessary. So that's what it takes to close deals sometimes.
Yeah. Thanks, man. Yeah.
So good stuff on that, man. Now let me ask you this as we go into the close. I just want to recap the numbers real quick. So you had it listed at, well, it was a sale by owner. He had it listed at 99,000. You
Sir.
called him up. He said he had an offer at 80, but you offered him
Mm-hmm.
83 for him to lock it up,
Yes, sir.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Then you realize you need to renegotiate the price because the house needed more repairs. You locked it up too high, and that happens.
Mm-hmm.
It happens on pretty much everybody's first opportunities, first deal. But you renegotiated it down to 60,000. So you got it under contract with the seller, renegotiated price at 60,000. Then the first buyer that you had was at 65,000, but he ended up
Yep.
backing out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you had to go find you another buyer really quick, found another buyer 24 hours later at 66,000, end up closing in less than 45 days with a $6,000 assignment fee or profit.
Yes, sir.
Amazing. Congratulations, man.
Thank you. I'm happy to say.
Now, I was going to ask you what issues that you had working with the deal, but you already went through that. Now, let me ask you this. Now, what would you do differently? Is there anything that you can think of that you would do differently to make it a little bit better or to make it a little bit smoother? Get more money on the assignment fee, on the profit. What are you thinking?
I feel as though I should have. I'm trying to think what I could have done better. Honestly, maybe like had I been a little bit more patient, I probably would have been able to get more for it. But because I started to panic,
Yep.
because I lost someone, it's like I have it on the contract, I need to perform within the same amount of time. I just took the first thing that came. Like when I felt the guy was legit and everything like that, I just took it and then I rushed through it. So I feel like definitely maybe I could have asked for an extension or something like that, like to handle it. And then from the very beginning, maybe rechecking my numbers before I make that initial offer. Before I made the initial
But you
offer.
wouldn't have got the deal if you didn't do that, though.
Yeah, that too. I was
You
gonna say
wouldn't
I
have got
wouldn't
the
have had the
opportunity.
contract in the first time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he would have went with the other guy for 80,000. So I think that was a good thing that you did because you did think your numbers were right, right? You had good intentions. It wasn't like, oh, I know it's not going to close for 83, so let me go ahead and do it. No, you thought based off of your numbers, based off of your research, that you thought it was going to actually sell for a little bit more than 83. But unfortunately, it didn't turn out that way, and that happens. So you came with good intentions, and I think that's why this deal worked out for you. Because if you would have came with bad intentions initially, then it wouldn't have worked out.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
that's good stuff. Now, how long? Like when you found that second buyer? How long did it take for you to close from that point?
From that point, I can actually check. Did you mind me checking?
Was it long? Yeah, go for it. Was it long?
Oh no. Yeah, I think he was. Let me check right now. From the day I hit him up. Let me see.
Did you go past your due diligence period when you
No, we actually closed right on time and everything like that. From the time he got it, let me see. That was October 24th. We closed on the 9th. So it took 15 days.
from the second buyer? Yeah,
Yeah, 15 days, literally 2 weeks. 2 weeks, he was ready.
that's
Yeah,
not bad. Quick. That's good. That's a
yeah,
good
quick.
buyer. You got to keep him on
Mm-hmm.
your buyers list for sure.
Oh, oh yeah. Oh, like I got a couple things I'm sending to him like now to see what he likes and
Yeah.
everything.
Now,
Yeah.
are there any like lessons that you learned from this deal? Like anything that sticks out
Mm,
that you can take to the next deal?
definitely. So there was a tenant in place and everything like that, and he did teach me about that. So if you have like maybe a tenant in place and stuff like that, you could do like a cash for keys agreement to motivate them to leave the property so it's delivered vacant to the buyer and stuff like that. So that's something I learned about on this deal as well that I really like that I learned.
Yeah.
Um, I'm trying to think what other lessons I learned as far as everything goes. I the lesson I learned about definitely taking what those buyers say because I somebody had told me to do that. Just take what they say and repeat it verbatim to some. That'll definitely help as well too. And I saw you do it once.
Yeah.
That's where I got the idea from too as well. I think you were on the phone with someone. You were talking about how there was cracks in the foundation, and you went and asked for that price reduction, and
Yeah.
you got it. So yeah, that's another thing too as well. So those
Now,
are
what
two
did
things.
you learn about yourself throughout this whole process and closing that deal?
Uh, ooh, what did I learn about myself? I think I've been in a situation like this before where it's like I didn't push through, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad I did. So it's like I caught myself too as well. As I felt myself about to give up, and then when I was texting you, I was like, "You've been here before and everything like that. You need to just keep going." So like something just told me to just keep going, keep pushing forward, and then like I found success. So like overall, just not giving up and not quitting before, like not quitting before you hit the goal
Right.
is something I myself. Yeah.
Now, you mentioned something about you had like a couple contracts that failed before this one, right? How many of those did you go through before you actually get this one that worked?
I think like 6 or 7. Oh
So
yeah,
6 failed
bunch.
contracts, and they failed for many
Yeah.
different reasons, right? Too high.
Mm-hmm. 100%. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So for people
Couldn't
out
find a
there
buyer too
listening,
high.
it ain't the first person you talk to, the first contract you get is going to pan out every single time. You have to go through failures, you have to go through lessons, you have to learn, you have to fail forward, right? In order to understand like how to actually do the business, right? So like for me, and it's probably the similar thing for you, like it took me, I failed in 3 contracts. I had 3 actual contracts before I closed my first deal. I learned that I was locking up the properties too high. I learned that the area wasn't good. I learned about somebody who's trying to scam and play fraud, and
Oh
pose
yeah.
pose as a seller, and they weren't really a seller. But I took those
Mm-hmm.
experiences and those lessons, and I got better after each one. I'm sure that's the same thing that happened to you, right?
Yeah, 100%. Every single time. Yeah, that's exactly what happened.
Okay, cool. Now as we wrap this thing up, man, we're gonna come to a close here in a second. What are 3 pieces of advice would you offer to someone who is looking to close their first deal?
Ooh, 3 pieces of advice. 3 pieces of advice. Um, how can I describe it? The first one is, and I like this, is I stopped worrying about more sort of result, but like the numbers. So versus just chasing the first deal, chasing the first deal, it's like that can become overwhelming. So I stuck to just 50 conversations a day, 1 offer a day. That's all. So like I guess create a plan and stick to it
Mm-hmm.
would be the first thing I say. The second thing is what would the second thing be? The second thing would be is don't multitask like a bunch of things. Yeah, that's something I'm guilty of. Like I was everywhere. Like I was about to start driving for dollars. I did direct mail, SMS, texting. It starts to get overwhelming and things
Yep.
like that, and then that's how you end up burning out.
Yep.
So you don't want to do that. And then the third one is, literally, like I was saying, just don't give up. No matter what happens, even if you are like a woman and things like that, and your hands is in different stuff, or you're just focusing on one thing, so long as you don't give up, I think you'll find success in whatever you do.
I love it.
Honestly,
Hell yeah.
yeah.
Now, what would you say contributed to your success up until this point in closing this deal? It could be courses, YouTube, podcasts. Is there anything in particular that you kind of pinpoint that helps you get that success and get that deal done?
There's a guy I watch. His name's Isaiah Malonson. He was definitely the one who recommended me to even start calling for sale by owners. So like a big shout out to him. A lot of your videos, as far as your price reduction, I use your script. The script that I use to get my to talk to scalers on a daily basis is the one that you gave me. There's that. I like watching Flip with Rick, Flipping Mastery. Like there's a bunch of content and stuff like that I watch. Like it's been 10 months, so I watch everything. Like I don't think there's a single wholesale on YouTube you can tell me about. I probably don't know. Yeah,
You're
I've seen
obsessed,
it all.
man. That's what it takes. You got to be obsessed with
Yeah.
this stuff, man. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, Phil, man, congratulations, man. I appreciate you for hopping on. If anybody want to reach out to you and connect with you, you just work in the Maryland market.
I was gonna ask you about that, like I guess for better course action. But for right now, I'm in Maryland and DC.
Maryland and
Maryland
DC.
and DC. Yeah.
Okay.
And then
So
maybe some parts of Virginia. Like, yeah, so that's it.
okay, so the
Yeah. So
DMV
pretty
area.
much the DMV. Yeah.
So if
Yeah.
anybody wants to connect with you and get in contact with you to partner up on deals, JV on deals, maybe get some advice in the market in the area, what's the best way for them to reach out to you?
Oh yeah, just my Instagram. Literally, I'm on there all the time and everything like that. So if you DM me, I'll respond 100%. Yeah, like I know how hard it is and tough. Like, so I'm more than willing to talk to anyone or help anyone that would need help if they
Love
did.
it. Love it. Well, like I said, I appreciate you for jumping on. We're gonna wrap this up. That's
Thanks, man.
episode 6 of the Deal Divers podcast. Got my guy Phil closing his
Yes, sir.
first deal for $6,000, man. Just explain his story, his testimony. This ain't going to be the first one, and it's not going to be the last one that he closed. I promise you that. He's going to
Yes, sir.
continue
Yes,
to
sir.
close more deals, and you can do the same thing that Phil did. You just got to stick it through, be consistent, have faith, be positive, and make sure that you stick to your process and don't get overwhelmed, right? And it's going to happen. I promise you. If you don't quit, it's guaranteed. Just get better and better every single day. But that's going to be it for this episode. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Give Phil a follow. Contact him. Until next time, keep closing those deals. We out.